I do have a few questions, Mr. Poole. It's kind of fortuitous that you actually happen to be here today. And my questions are not necessarily to 752. I'll apologize for that in advance, but it has come to my attention through the media that there are signs of abuse and fraud and failure of leadership in certain areas of the BLM. Committee was made aware through presumably one of your emails that credit card abuse at BLM is culturally rampant, that there is an overall lack of managerial and supervisory support to prevent this type of fraud. In addition, there are allegations of fire time miscoding, which I presume deals with defrauding the government by submitting false claims for a number of hours worked. However, what is possibly the most disturbing is the allegation that many of these activities were approved by management. Again, in your email, you acknowledge that this deeply concerning issue, stating that the incidents to date are clearly reflective of a failure in leadership and managerial supervisory oversight. As I indicated yesterday, I wanted to get to the bottom of this, and so I have a few questions that we can start with today. Mr. Poole, when and how did you become aware of the abuse, fraud, and mismanagement?
Mr. Chairman, we started detecting irregularities back in 2010. Some of our field offices involving some employees, and when that was brought to my attention then I authorized a full law enforcement investigation and audit throughout the entire BLM. And as a result of this ongoing investigation, we're discovering other irregularities and misuse of federal appropriations. I take this rests on my shoulder as the Deputy for Operations for BLM. I take these actions very seriously. And for the information you just portrayed, it is, in many respects, a failure in leadership, a failure of management oversight. And as we work on each of these cases, we are holding people accountable. And we've already taken numerous actions to date, and many of the investigations are still ongoing. But we take this very serious.
Do I assume from what you're saying that there is an ongoing investigation
as
we speak?
Yeah. The reason being it takes a lot of auditing work. And I wanted to find out how widespread is it. At this point in time, it's a few field offices and a couple of state jurisdictions. And so I wanted to completely canvass the BLM and to see how far and how wide this problem may be. BLM has had a proud tradition, our fire program. We've had thousands of employees come through that program at all levels. And many of us came up through the fire program. So, we're going to take those that misuse or in some cases abused these financial authorities. We are taking appropriate disciplinary action. Most importantly, we want to restore the integrity and management oversight in managing these finances in our fire operations.
Mr. Poole, since already the media has seen a portion of your emails, would it be possible to provide this committee with a copy of the emails as well?
Yes.
I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
I yield to you.
Thank you, sir. Have you involved, is this an initiation on the part of your office to deal with this potentially very grave issue? And if so, have you involved the Inspector General or the legal counsel from Interior into
all fronts? We early on consulted with the Inspector General's office. Many of these cases we were working with our own solicitors, U.S. Attorney's Office, and so in effect we've applied a full court press to get to the bottom line and detect how far and wide this problem may be. And I am holding people accountable.
Thank you. Mr. Grahal, I'll reclaim my time since you asked me. That was the question right here you asked that I had. So thank you for doing that. Yeah. As a result of this discovery, do you know total taxpayer dollar amounts which are included?
I don't have that information to date. It's still being accumulated. Many of that information is evidentiary in nature, and it's still part of the ongoing investigations.
Do you know who approved the purchase of gift cards in the first place and why?
I don't know. That's something that I discovered when I came back as acting director, and then it was brought to my attention we've got some problems with that particular type of use. And immediately when the problems were brought to my attention, I wanted to immediately eliminate use of that program. However, based on the legal guidance I received, based on the collection of evidentiary material, they wanted to allow that continuation. That has been discontinued. As soon as I got the green light from the U.S. Attorney's Office, I cut it off. And I might say that we're talking about pockets of irregularities and misuse. We had a number of states and jurisdictions that managed that program very effectively with a high degree of integrity, high degree of oversight, and documentation. But unfortunately, I felt that it was just open for possible abuse, so that's why I eliminated it.
I'm going to ask the committee, because my time is over here. I do have like 3 other questions on this topic, but if other people wish to ask questions on this first, then with the committee's indulgence, let me just finish those questions very quickly. Utah Director Palma told media out there in Utah that nobody personally benefited from this, maybe downplayed the situation. Can you clarify for us the extent of the fraud and abuse that has been uncovered so far, and how do you explain the purchase that were fraudulently made or somehow not a personal benefit, as Director Palma indicated?
Well, I did hear what Director Palma had to say. I might clarify that it's something that did not occur on his watch. It's something that he inherited. I would have to get back with State Director Palma and talk to him about his commentary, because I think in some cases some of these expenditures or procurement actions were for personal benefit. And so, but there's different categories that we detected through this investigation, so I probably just need to sit down with the State Director and talk to him about that.
Thank you. What kind of disciplinary action is standard or recommended for employees that are discovered scamming the system?
It can be a full range, Mr. Chairman. It can be removal. It can be suspensions. It can be, demotion and pay, salary. There's any number of applications that we utilize. It depends on the egregious nature of the action, the seriousness, the duration of use, the amount of money involved, and we consult with our solicitors as to the appropriate remedy to apply.
So I'm assuming from what you said so far, you do not have a complete knowledge of how widespread this inappropriate conduct is. You're continuing the investigation on that.
That is correct. Just to clarify, we've had some pockets in Utah. We had a situation more recently develop in Idaho. We've had some smaller detects in other states, but we're seeing similarity in the type of misuse, and that was my concern and probably accounted for my commentary as far as the rampant nature of this, and our goal is to eliminate it, and soon.
All right, I only have 2 more here. What is the funding source? What was the funding source for the purchase of these gift or credit cards? I mean, is it discretionary operating accounts?
Yeah, they're discretionary operating accounts. That's a good way to summarize that. And we keep in mind the gift cards were also used in other program areas that just wasn't associated with fire.
And who is actually responsible for the oversight or approval of these government cards?
Supervisor.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I want to I want to express my appreciation of your open and candid responses to these questions right now. I do appreciate that very much. I realize this is a difficult situation, and I look forward to you working through that successfully. Can I simply request that we have a detailed briefing from you, your office, in whatever format you would like to take that, but that the committee, maybe even the full committee, would have the ability of having that on this particular issue?
Yes, sir.
Mr.